Hi, this is Rodrigo from Security Solutions team, and during this video you will learn how to apply a proficient troubleshooting in ISE profiling. So, without further to say, let's begin. Firstly, let's review some foundation of the technology. Within Identity Services Engine, the profiling service is used to provide a dynamic identification and classification of endpoints connected to the network. Once these procedures are finished, the ISE can apply policies based on those attributes. The profiler process on ISE compares the collected data in predefined profiles to locate a match. The profiling process is divided into the following steps: collection of attributes of an endpoint through probes, evaluation of attributes collected based on conditions, profiling policy rule evaluation, endpoint classification based on profiling policies and group assignment, authorization access on ISE policy sets. In ISE, the way in which the server is going to acquire attributes is through probes. Probe is a component of ISE profiling services that collects attributes based on different methods. Through this video, it will be reviewed the radius probe, which is the most common and used probe within ISE. However, you can review further information about the probes in ISE in the guide titled ISE Profiling Design Guide. While troubleshooting, you need to confirm that the ISE PSN from where the endpoint is being authenticated has the profiling features in place. To confirm, navigate to Administration System Deployment. Then select the node from where the endpoint is authenticated and confirm that you have the profiling service enabled. Verify that the probes of interest are configured and enabled on ISE. You need to navigate to the Next tab from where the probes that the PSN node will be able to work on. I want to highlight here an important point, as multiple probes are enabled as in this scenario displayed. At the moment in which an endpoint is profiled, it is going to be classified based on the attributes obtained from one of these probes. Only the probe that has collected information about the endpoint is going to be displayed as a probe used on ISE. The ISE has the following setting configured globally. COA type refers to the radius action that ISE will do once the devices have been authenticated. By default, it is enabled as not COA, meaning no change of authorization. If the goal is only to get visibility of endpoints, use this option. The drop-down options are port bounds and reauthentication. The COA port bounds will cause a link flap on the authentication port linked to the device profile. Use this method when it is expected to have VLAN changes after device profiling, whereas the reauthentication will cause the port to start an authentication again. The profiler process issues the COA in the following scenarios. An endpoint deleted. This happens when an endpoint is deleted from the context visibility endpoints page and the endpoint is disconnected or removed from the network. An endpoint is being profiled for the first time. An endpoint identity group has changed. Between the options displayed on this menu, we have the overlap of the classification policies. In ISE, the profiling policies that dictate how a device is classified are the ones provided by Cisco and the ones that the admin can create as displayed in this example. Coming back to the profiling general settings, we have that the admin policies configured have more precedence over the rules provided by Cisco. Please review in any case the administration guide of the version you have to understand the other options displayed on this menu. ISE writes identified endpoints locally in the policy service node database. After storing endpoints locally in the database, these endpoints are then made available in the administration node database. Only when significant attributes change in the endpoints and replicated to other policy service nodes database. When a significant attribute changes in the endpoint, the attributes of the endpoint are automatically saved in the administration node database. Notice here that the endpoint assignment static is related as per the attributes remarked. The profiling service does not issue a COA in those devices whose static assignment is marked as true. In the following topology, we have that the devices are not being profiled correctly on ISE. The next page displays the computers that are being categorized as Cisco devices, as well as the IP phone is not being recognized as such. So let's start with the analysis of such behaviors. Firstly, we can see that the deployment does not have a COA configured as global default. In this scenario, it is required to create policies based on inventory and recognition. Hence, it is needed to set up the global value as route. Next, it is required to review the rules that are going to be based on profiling. The computers are doing .1x as we can see. There is no policy related to profiling. We need to create an identity group related to the Windows machine in the menu Work Centers, Profiling Policies. In this section, we need to filter the policy that the device will be hitting and select the option to create a matching identity group. Save the configuration. Coming back to the rule, we can add the identity group. Once the device is categorized as the option displayed, this will belong to the identity group. Once this rule is configured, we need to create a catch policy rule in order that the devices can finish the process of profiling. In this scenario, the rule configured here is limiting the communication only with the ISE nodes. Once the device is profiled, the authentication will happen and it will hit the correct rule. In case of the IP phone that is doing map, the device will be within the logical profile. A logical profile IP phone will contain devices that are categorized in the list displayed. Lastly, to help with the classification through the Redis probe, we are going to configure device sensor in this switch. The first step is to configure CDP, LLDP, and DHCP filter, as we can see in the console. Then we need to apply the protocol filter to get an output. To emulate a new connection, we remove the computers and the Cisco IP phone addresses from the context visibility page, and we proceed to connect the devices again. This time, the profiling was successful. Thanks for the time you took to watch this video.